Hey friends. Hey Jackie.
Hey, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good.
So today we're going to talk about trad wives, traditional wives. Um, and I think a lot of women probably are a trad wife, but we will see.
Right. That's just it. Are you or aren't you? And what do you think about him? I think that's kind of a new term lately, a trad wife, um, traditional wife. And um, so actually, I was just going to show you what Google says it is.
Okay.
Okay. So a trad wife is a woman who chooses to embrace traditional gender roles where her primary role is that of a homemaker and wife, while her husband is the sole breadwinner. This lifestyle, short for traditional wife, often involves focusing on tasks like cooking, cleaning, and child rearing, and is associated with conservative religious values. The term is especially used for women who share this lifestyle online.
Hmm.
So it says core beliefs. Trad wives typically believe their purpose is to serve their families and husbands, often viewing this role as different but equally important to a man's. They embrace the role as a matter of personal choice and virtue. Now, it says lifestyle can include focus on traditional activities like cooking from scratch, home management, and sometimes traditional attire. Modern context, I know. Modern context, trad wife phenomenon is frequently showcased on social media platforms like TikTok, where it is often contrasted with the boss babe or career focused women. And it says criticisms and concerns. The trend has faced criticism, with some worrying that the idealized a time when women has lost autonomy and fewer rights. Others point to the potential financial risk for women who become financially dependent on their husbands, especially in the event of a divorce.
Hmm.
So, with that said, what
Well,
do
I
you think
think that if
about
you
that?
stay married at least 10 years, you can take whatever you want from them, but that's just my opinion. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I
So,
don't know the legal ins and outs.
right. This is not legal advice. I'm totally kidding.
Right,
So,
right.
are you a
Yeah.
trad wife? Do you consider yourself a trad wife?
I do. I absolutely do. I always have. I Before I ever heard the term, that's exactly what I feel. I've always felt that mom and dad both have a role, and they're both equally very important, very important. And although I have worked, um, I have always, I didn't, when my kids were little, I didn't work.
Right.
That was very, very important to me. And I always believed that I was born to be a mother and a wife. That's who I think I am. And I think my personal opinion, of course, obviously everybody does their own thing. I don't put anybody down for how they choose to live in any situation. I always say is if it's legal, if you're a consenting adult, you do you, right?
Right.
But for me, I think it's very important. And I just do happen to believe that society is better when you have mom and dad both home, and you have somebody looking out for the kids, knowing where the kids are, what's going on. And when a husband, a father takes the financial worries away, then you can run your home without that concern, and take care of things. Not that that's always going to happen. There, people are going to struggle. Their times are going to change and things. And I do know people who kind of live that way, and situations made it where dad stayed home. It was more beneficial financially for the wife to work, the mother, and that worked out great too. I'm not, that can happen, I believe, for sure. But I believe that's what I choose to do. Me, I always say I answer to God and Mr. Snotty. That's who I answer to. But that does not mean he tells me what to do.
Right.
See, that's the difference. We discuss things. He does handle the finances 100%. Doesn't mean he doesn't go to the grocery store. He shops more than I do. But I do most of the cooking, the cleaning, that kind of thing. He takes care of the cars, That's what I believe. Again, I believe I was born to be a mother. I believe the Bible tells us that we're supposed to be moms. That's what I think. But I'm not submissive in the way that I don't say, can I go get my nails done? I say, I'm going to run and get my nails done. Is that going to work for you? Because of time, and maybe he wants to do something else.
Right. Yeah,
Not that
that's
I'm going to
where
be
I
told.
kind of differed from, I thought, like the Tradwife and the housewife, because that was like one of the biggest differences was with the Tradwife, you're submissive. With housewife, it didn't say that. So I was like, well, maybe I'm more of a housewife. But like you, my husband takes care of all of the bills. He works. I cook. I do clean. I love to cook. So it's not a job for me there. And
Right.
when he used to work outside of the house, my friend used to laugh at me because I would lay his clothes out every night. I would pack his lunches. And she would say, you are crazy. I'm like, no, I love doing it. He doesn't ask for it. I just love doing it. That I believe I've always been a caretaker. Like I love taking care of people. I love making people happy. So that's how I run my family. My mother-in-law recently moved in, and she sat down at the table and I served them, and she said, oh my gosh, you even serve us. I said, yeah. Make their plates.
I always have too. Yep.
And I enjoy it. I do. And I remember being little, being at my grandmother's house, and she was the same way. And she didn't sit down until we were all finished eating. And that's when she sat down and ate. And I found myself doing that. And my husband would say, you need to sit down and eat dinner. And I would say, I will, when they were done, then I would eat.
Well, you definitely, for me, also a part of that was everybody needs to get enough, and then I'll worry about me.
That's me. I was, I was a young mom, didn't have a lot of money. And I think that was just what I got used to doing, making sure the kids eat and then I'll eat, but yeah, I love this life. I have a very good life. And like you, I don't have to ask permission, but out of respect, I'll say, hey, is it good for you that I do this? Or but
right.
So I think that's
and I'm not going to say, if my husband said, I'd rather you didn't get your nails done. Well, that would kind of bother me, but why, we would talk about it, but he would never say, no, you're not allowed.
Right.
You're not.
Right.
I mean, what he does every once in a while, he'll say to me, because I know nothing about our finances. I just don't. Anytime he tries to tell me, I go, la, la, la. I don't get the mail. I don't know about that stuff. That's not my deal. But every once in a while he says, take it easy on the card. That's his way. And he said that to me in 18 years, like 3 times.
Right.
Because I don't act like a fool about things. I don't act irresponsible about things. And so it's not like, we have certain discussions, but to know the ins and outs, I don't. But I will tell you, in my first marriage, I did everything. Like you were saying, my first husband was in the military, and I ironed his uniform. I shined his boots. I did everything like that. And to me, so in the military, you make very little money, very, very little. But he picked up a second job because it was very important to both of us that our kids not go into daycare.
Right.
We were very, I was very fortunate that we both felt very strong, even though we were 19 years old, right? We both felt very strongly about that. And we lived away from home, obviously, in the military, right? So you don't have family and stuff around. Mm-hmm. But, if he was going to work like that and provide for us, he wasn't going to lift a finger at home. That's my job to take care of that. And of course, and I don't know what it was, but I did the same thing. I always have. I serve the plates. I serve. Yeah. And we would come home, and whenever I would do that, people were like, what is wrong with you, Jackie? You don't have to serve him. And I'm like, no, but I do. He never even asked me to.
Nope.
That's all on me. And yes, I do have to. And I enjoy that. I want to do that. And I will tell you this. Now, there's 2 reasons to this. First of all, I do not like anybody to do my laundry. I don't touch my clothes. I'm not good with that. But there's also a sense of, if my husband needs to do laundry, then I'm not doing my job. And when I first married Mr. Snotty, he worked out of the house. He worked in the house. He's always worked out of the house. I worked out. So one day I came home and he was like, oh, I was going to start some laundry. And I said, oh no, don't do my wash. Don't do my stuff. And he was like, well, and he took a marker. He goes, I'll just write inside the lid of the washer, just tell me what to do with your wash. Mm. So he wrote number 1, and I go, don't do my wash. And he was like, seriously? I go, seriously, and don't even do yours. Like, if I see him trying to do wash, I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Like, why are you touching? He's like, I feel like I'm not allowed. I go, well, you're kind of right. You're not. Like, I don't fool with the garage. Don't mess with my stuff, man. But to me, it's a dereliction. I'm not doing my part. If he needs to do wash, that I'm not doing my. So again, I have put every bit of that on myself.
Right. Same.
But I will say something else that I did see, and when I was in my first marriage, and my first husband, he was being deployed to Iraq, and we were out. They had this big thing, you've seen it on TV, where all the families, the wives and kids, everybody's out there on the flight line in the hangars and that, and saying goodbye, right, to their spouses. And I saw, I watched moms leaving, and of course, I'm not trying to say, well, I guess I am. I'm just going to be completely honest. I don't truly believe that that's for women. I don't think it is. I think there's really hard thing. I'm super impressed with some women that do some badass stuff in the military. I really am. But when I saw that, I thought to myself, It's sad that my kid's dad is leaving. It's scary that he may not come back. But to me, it is 100% not okay for me to be gone.
Right.
I just think we need our mom. You need your mom. Like, and I thought, oh my God. And I could never leave my kids like that. I just couldn't. And by all rights, my ex-husband said to me, he goes, honestly, knowing who you are, that whatever needs to be done, you're going to do it, is really how I can go and do that. Because I don't worry that you're not going to take care of these kids no matter what.
Right.
You're going to take care of the house. So he's like, it does take both of us, because I can't do my job without you doing your job. So, again, I'm not putting anybody down. Everybody do their thing. That's me.
And whether you're man or woman, thank you for your service.
Absolutely. No, I'm serious. You watch, like, I see them. I'm impressed, because not only that, I can't do that.
Right.
And I'm a chicken shit. I'd be scared. I would be. I don't want to do that. No, I'm super impressed, and I'm just saying this is a personal thing for me.
And too, for me, it was hard going back to like our divorce stream. It was hard when my kids had to go to their dad's every other weekend. I can't imagine being away from them for 6 months.
Right.
That would be, or a year, or however long you're gone. I cannot imagine that.
No.
Now I have a question. Did you do, or do you do like the yard work and stuff too, or just inside the house and leave the outdoor stuff for?
What's funny? In my first marriage, I did do the outside work. And I will tell you, so when you live on base, they come around, and they will even take like a ruler and measure your bushes and stuff. They don't do that every time, but if it's a thing, if they're constantly letting you know, hey, your lawn needs to be done. And that's stuff you get in trouble for at work, right?
Well, that's just like having an HOA. My gosh.
Oh, it's actually even worse. Let me tell you. One time I missed an appointment at the hospital, and my ex-husband likes to throw in my face every once in a while that that's the only reprimand he ever got in the military. He actually got quite a few medals. He did very well. Very well. Yeah, the only reprimand he ever got was one time he had a talking to because I had missed an appointment, and that you're not allowed to do that. And so if I did that, then he would get, if I did it all the time or something, then it'd be like written. This was only a verbal,
right.
Hey, your wife can't do that. But same thing with the yard. If the yard's not done, then he gets in trouble at work.
Wow.
So now I did the yard because he worked, and he worked nights. And then he had a second job delivering pizza. So he was gone a lot. Again, I didn't think even on his day off, if he got a day off, that he should spend it doing yard work. Now, since then, I don't do the yard work. I do stuff outside because I want to.
Right.
But no, I don't. And you see our yard here is barely anything to do.
Yeah. You're lucky.
Typical Arizona. But at our old house, there was yard work to do. And Mr. Snotty did all of that. I did none of it. And he, like I said, he takes care of the cars. He does. I'm very fortunate. My husband's very handy. He can fix anything.
Same. Thank God.
Yes.
I used to do the yard work at our old house. For the most part, I would do it. Same reason. And he worked outside of the house, back then. So I would cut the grass, and we had a lot of grass. We had a huge backyard and front, but we have a lawn company here. So I don't have to really, I'll go out and pick some weeds once in a while because of the HOA probably measures our lawns too.
Yeah, yeah, right,
But yeah, but I do enjoy doing yard work too. I always have. I
right.
like to be busy. That's always been me. I like to be busy. So he would go out of town with his friends, and I'd be pulling up carpet, redoing a bedroom, and
Yes.
I love to do a lot of that stuff. So for me, it's not a job. It really isn't, to take care of a lot of stuff.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I love it. I
So do
truly
I.
do. Um, I'm always thinking about, my husband now will take, you know, 2-week trips overseas. And I typically have my stuff all ready to go because the minute he goes, I'm gonna, like you said,
Yes.
tear the carpet out, do
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is an easy lifestyle for us, obviously. Uh,
Right.
but I do want to hear from people who are opposite, who like to work, like to be out of the house. Maybe their husband takes care of stuff at home, or maybe they do both. There's a lot of women who
Well,
have to do
think
both.
about that. I knew that I knew growing up my daughter was not going to be a Tradwife. I knew she wasn't.
Right.
Um, and I think I have actually seen that happen where they somehow, you know, when she was very little, she would say, the way you do everything for dad, I'm not doing that. And I would tell her when she was little, I would say, I think you might, sissy, one day you're going to grow up and have a family, and you might want to do that. And she's like, oh no, I won't want to. And even now they both, her and her husband both, they're very active in their church. They are, they both work, and they have their chores. So, I always gave my kids certain chores, and I demanded that they do them because that was part of learning.
Right.
That certain things, it wasn't a lot. It was not a lot. It was very little, but it had to be done. I did not tolerate it not
Yeah,
happening.
and teaching them responsibility young is
Right.
really good.
Right. It was more about that than taking something that I didn't have to do. It wasn't like that.
Right.
It was teaching, right? But now I can't believe at their house, like she cooks and her husband does the dishes. And my grandson does all of his own laundry. See, to me, I didn't never let my kids do wash. I was in charge of wash. Period. End of story. Again, my kids didn't even know how to do wash up until they were full ass adults. I was still doing their laundry because
Yeah.
I never even taught them. But she doesn't do that. She's like, I'm not doing everybody's laundry. I'm not. Even her husband does his own laundry.
I do everybody's laundry. I still do.
Yep.
And my kids are 18 and up, but I still do everyone's laundry. I just prefer it that way. And you know what? It's not even, it's more of, I don't want them touching my washer and dryer and messing it up.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm going to
Thank
take care
you.
of my stuff the way I take care of it. And I know that sounds horrible, and a lot of people will probably laugh at that, but it is the honest to God truth. Sorry, I'm not letting you mess up my stuff.
That is so true. I used to say, the funny thing is, when I was much younger, my kids were younger, money was very tight. I was managing also the electric bill. I wasn't going to have willy-nilly. We're not going to just, I'd seen people, their kids throw one thing in the dryer for a
Oh
while.
yeah.
And I would be, Yeah, I'd be at people's house and I could just hear it. In my head, I'm just hearing cha-ching, and I'm thinking, get that out of there. You know, like that's not happening.
Right.
We're not going to fool around with my electric bill. And I was yeah, you're right, very much on top of that. And same thing, you're not going to, I said, I told, with blending families, I had, you know, my kids had never done their wash, and I moved in with Mr. Snotty, and my stepdaughter was doing her wash, and I was like, you know, I would see like the load is really overloaded, you know, and I'm just like, okay, well, and the reason you know that is because every time you go to use it, it's all, both things are full, right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, you know, nothing's clean, but also, you know, you're going to ruin a washer and dryer. And it was so funny because Mr. Snotty kept having to fix the washer and dryer. There was always things happening. And he would say, well, we need a new one. And I said, no, we're not doing that. Because no, this is the thing. It is very normal for a child. Once they buy their own, they won't do that. Right. And you can't even tell somebody that. You can't make somebody understand that, but they will. They absolutely will when they're like, oh shit, you know,
Right.
that's going to, but 100%. Yeah. I don't, for every reason there possibly is, don't touch my washer and dryer. Don't do it.
Yes.
I'm so weird about the water temperature for this one and that one, and the kinds of soaps I have. I am probably not a normal person about it, but
Yeah, I like to think I am, but probably not.
I know, that's what I tell my daughter. I'm like, okay, why are you allowing these people to touch your stuff?
Right.
I mean, I would rather do it than have someone. I just,
Yes.
and you know, I guess I'm glad that she's totally like the opposite of who I am. And in so many ways that it's been amazing for her, of course. And like I could see it from almost birth, the personality she had. She's a go-getter. She's,
Yeah.
you know, and that's a good thing. That's just not who I am. So I think it's okay to do whatever works for you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
But I am
So,
going to make myself a shirt that says, proud Tradwife.
and wear it proudly.
I am.
Okay, well, it's November, so are we going to do our what we're thankful and blessed for?
I think we should.
Okay. So, if everybody wants to leave it in our comments what you're thankful and blessed for this week, that would be great. Or if you'd rather email it to us, we'll share it there. Okay, go ahead, Jackie.
Well, I guess with all that said, I am very thankful and blessed that I have a husband that is 100% respectful to me as a trad wife, and he's very good to me, and he believes the same way I do about that. And I'm quite thankful for my washer and dryer.
How do I follow up from that? I am very thankful for my husband too. A lot of the same qualities that Jackie's husband has. He's my best friend. He's saved me and my kids when they were a lot younger, stepped up to the plate. And yeah, he's just the best. I could never find another him ever.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we should probably wrap it up. We will see everybody on the next one.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.